Hey everybody, this is chapter 3 of Michael Vick's autobiography. It's called Finally Free. So what I'm going to do is go through chapter 3. I read the chapter already. I'm going to read you the things I underline. He says, I was being recruited by schools all across the country, but I narrowed it to 5 for my official visits: Clemson, East Carolina, Georgia Tech, Syracuse, and Virginia Tech. He says, in the end, it came down to Syracuse and Virginia Tech. He talked about Donovan McNabb. He says, Donovan is a great player and an underappreciated quarterback. He says, Donovan played a huge part in getting me signed in Philadelphia and in my rehabilitation as a football player. But our friendship began not in the NFL, but on my recruiting trip to Syracuse. But I believed in myself, and I really wanted to mark my place in college history. I knew I could do it. I prayed about my decision. I asked God to guide me, and it became clear that Virginia Tech was the right choice for me. He says that the red shirt year is invaluable. Many parents today want their kids to play now. They want them to pick a college where they can play immediately. He says the game is first played from a mental standpoint, then the physical. Without the mental, you don't know where to go. Virginia Tech kept its promise to Coach Riemann and me. They gave me the opportunity to sit my true freshman season. Most importantly, I improved mentally. He says our offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Ricky Bussell, always made me come to the film room. The first thing to being a good quarterback, you see, isn't about learning the offense, believe it or not. It's about learning how to read defenses. It's when my raw abilities came to fruition because they were combined with a refined physical and mental game. It's when it started to show. During the spring of my redshirt freshman year, I was completing with junior Dave Meyer for the starting quarterback position. He talks about how he went back to Newport News. He says, people might not realize this, but I became incredibly homesick. It felt so good to see my family when I came back for practice. He says, my athletic talent could still take over, but now I had a greater knowledge of the game from a cerebral perspective. My college debut came against James Madison on September 4th, 1999, and I was literally unleashed to the college world. He says, on the 30-minute bus ride from the hotel to the game, I fell asleep. It was only a half hour, but it felt like a 2-hour nap. This was his first start. Before I knew it, I was in the huddle. The first play I called was a pass play, a deep comeback against a single high, meaning you can throw to the comebacks outside. There was a guy wide open downfield, but I was so nervous. Instead of throwing it to the guy downfield, I threw a flat route, and not just that, I threw it in the dirt. He says that day I threw for 110 yards and ran for 3 touchdowns in the James Madison game, which was a 47-0 victory. Our game at Rutgers in Week 5 became a considerable breakout game that propelled me into the Heisman Trophy conversation. And our biggest win in 1999 came in the regular season finale against number 22 ranked Boston College. I'll never forget my teammates carrying me off the field after we had accomplished our goal, which was to go 11-0 and earn the right to play for a national championship. So after his first year of starting, his redshirt freshman year, he started and he went 11-0. There were others like Ronald Curry who had seemingly more promising futures. But after redshirting my first year at Virginia Tech, working, building, learning how to utilize my skills, I was prepared for takeoff. Now I was in flight, and all I wanted to do was fly higher and higher and higher. When I walked into class, everyone stared at me and wanted to talk to me. Everyone wanted to be my friend. Everyone wanted a piece of me. I had no idea that good performances on the field could bring about friendships and fame. He talks about this was my dream, playing in a national championship game. They played against Florida State in the Nokia Sugar Bowl. They lost 49-26. He says, I played well, passing for over 200 yards and a touchdown and rushing for nearly 100 yards and a touchdown. I had to be happy with what we accomplished, an 11-1 season, the best in Hokies history. After the season, ESPN invited me to the 2000 ESPYs. My redshirt freshman season in 1999 catapulted me to a level far beyond what I had anticipated, and it raised expectations for my sophomore season that would be difficult to reach. The loss in the Sugar Bowl left me hungry to accomplish more as a sophomore. That I was selected by the Colorado. Also, I was surprised that he got selected by the Colorado Rockies as the 887th overall pick of the Major League Baseball draft. I hadn't even played baseball since I was in the 8th grade, other than practicing a little with the team at Warwick during my senior year of high school. As the 2000 season approached, it seemed as though I was on the cover of every magazine in the country. I was just a kid with dreams who grew up in poverty like so many others. I wanted to bring it back. I wanted to be an encouragement to others in the city that I loved. The opportunity was there, and something I couldn't control, an injury, prevented me from seizing it. I'm convinced that the injury happened because I lost sight of what was important. I was consumed with the Heisman race, and my focus was on me and not my team. He says the pressure of trying to win the Heisman his second year starting began to affect his play. He says the second year we again finished 11-1, and we were ranked number 6 and number 5 nationally in the AP polls. I finished the season with a 54.2 completion percentage, 1,500 yards passing, and 9 touchdowns. Also ran for 700 yards and 9 touchdowns. He says although he had 2 years of college remaining eligibility, he began weighing the options of going pro. It was one of the toughest decisions I had to make at that point in my life. I was used to being around Coach Beamer and my teammates. It was so comfortable. The Virginia Tech program provided a family atmosphere, and they had given me the opportunity to come and run the program. They put all their trust in me. Virginia Tech meant a great deal to me, so leaving was a very hard decision. Contrary to what some people may think, I actually did enjoy my time at college. He says, I was not the best student, I was just average, but I have a good effort. I took advantage of the academic support the Hokies provided. I went to study hall and met with all my tutors. He decided to go pro. Coach Beamer meant the world to me and still does to this day. He's a great man whose principles are valuable far beyond the playing field. Coach Beamer reiterates this phrase so much. You've got to do things the right way. He says, I wish I had heeded that principle more in the years that followed. Like Professor Giovanni's quote says, everything changes. Surroundings change, situations change, and change and transition, you can change for the better or you can change for the worse. I was flying. The landscape below was changing. I would either grow up or I would decay. So that was chapter 3 of Michael Vick's book called Finally Free. That was just a summary of the main things that I underlined, give you a clue of what the chapter is about. Thank you for listening.